Hello. In this video, we're going to talk about all the different hiding spots and block piles surrounding the hider spawn building, basically surrounding this building. Talk about basically all the block piles in this sort of grassy area, right? And we'll talk about all the hiding spots behind it, like over here as well. So really, we're going to start by going over the furnace stack that's right here, like just on the edge of it. For this furnace stack, it's basically all about the letter L. So as you can see, we have a really long letter L right here, and a short letter L on top right here. So basically, this one is 4 long, this one is 3 long. So for instance, if you see it go 5 long like this, right, too many furnaces in a row, that would be fake. Right? For some reason, you see a square right here, that has to be fake because it's no longer the letter L. Same thing can happen for this one, right? A square, that would be fake. There's a slot right here a furnace could hide in, so sometimes you'll see a furnace go right here. And if you ever see the furnace stack squared off, for instance right here it's squared off, or if it's squared off right here, that would also be fake. So that's basically it for this furnace stack. For the cakes, it's basically just 3 groups, right? 3, 3, 2. For the groups of 3, if you ever see a square of cakes like that, or like this, that would be fake. You'll even sometimes see cakes hide like this, right? Whenever you see a group of 4 cakes, you know one of them is fake. For the 2 cakes right here, you could sometimes see 3 cakes in a row. But sometimes you'll see it basically have the same structure as the other 2 groups, but this cannot happen, so this has to be fake. Right. As for the furnace stack right here, instead of the letter L, we actually have the letter F. You see, this is the top of the F, this is the middle of the F, this is the tail of the F. So it's basically the letter F when I walk across these furnaces. Some other things to know about is you basically have a 3-block staircase on this side and on this side as well, right? So you should never see any deviation from that, like this, 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 this. No deviation from that staircase. Right? Now, as for the letter F part, right, if it ever goes 4 in a row in the back like this, it's fake. Right, and also if you see a square, right, on the front like this, that would be fake. You also shouldn't see a square on top of the stack like this. This is another spot that you should also just memorize, right, this one right here. That's basically it for the furnace stack. As for the bookshelf stack, right, basically there's 2 slots, well not slots, but 2 little open areas they can hide at. There's a slot right here they can hide, right here. There's also another slot right here. And behind the stack as well, you'll sometimes see it hide right here. So that's basically it for the bookshelf stack. Right. So, now that we talked about this, let's start to head towards the back of the actual building. Let's talk about this flower pot stack. For the flower pot stack, it's basically 3 in a row, 3, and 1. So I just kind of memorize it by the numbers. 3, 3, and 1. So for instance, if you ever see 4, for instance like this, technically there's 4 in the top group, that would be fake. Or 2 in a row on the top like this, that would also be fake. That's pretty much it. It's basically just 3, 3, 1. As for this melon stack, basically there's 3 parts to it. Right in the front you have 5 melons. On the top you have these melons. In the back you have these 2 melons. So as for the first part, these 5 melons, if you ever see a melon right here, it forms the fish structure, so that's how you know it's fake. You should never see a melon on top of one of those 5 melons, like for instance like this, that would be fake. For our second part, it's basically just these melons. All you're really looking for is if you see a square of melons. That's how you know you're looking at a fake one. For the melons in the back, it's basically if you ever see 3 melons in a row. So something like this would be fake. Or like this. So that's basically it. For these bookshelves, I basically just think of the number 5, right? Because you have 5 bookshelves on the top of the stack, 5 on the central layer, and 5 bookshelves on the bottom, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically just 5, 5, and 5. All you gotta do is think of the number 5. Another common spot you might see is a bookshelf at the very top of the stack like this. Right you see more than 5, for instance, a rectangle of 6 bookshelves, rectangle of 6 bookshelves, then that would be thick. And for our bottom layer, it's basically if you have 3 bookshelves in a row right here. Right? That's basically it for the bookshelf stack. Right? As for these flower pots, I also divided up into groups just like the melon stack, right? Basically there's 3 and 6. So basically if you ever see them sort of connected together, where it's like all one sort of piece like this, or like this would be 7 in this group, that would be thick. Really it is, I just think of the numbers 3 and 6 when looking at it. As for this furnace stack, basically, it should only be 3 furnaces on top of the stack. So if you see 4 furnaces, for instance, like this, it's fake. And also, a square of furnaces on top would be fake. Notice how all this sort of connects like a wire, right? So if it sort of looks like there's a knot in it, for instance, right here, a square of furnaces like that would be fake. Or if it kind of branches off in 2 directions, for instance, like this, that would also be fake. We also shouldn't see a furnace on the left side of the stack like this either. So that's basically it for the furnace stack. After the furnace stack, we have these sheep. Basically, you just hit them as you go along, and the second is a fake one, so pretty easy. Next, we have these flower pots. Again, I divided into groups. I think of 3, 3, 1, right? 3, 3, and then 1. It's sort of similar to the cakes, right? But not exactly. Right, if you ever see a group of 4, like for instance like this, it's fake. Again, group of 4, it's fake. And also, again, group of 4 like this. These are the typical spots that you'll see here. Sometimes you'll even see all the groups connected together at this one specific spot. And so, if you see a flower pot like this, this would be fake. For the furnace stack, basically you have a hole right here. I don't really divide this one into groups so much. Again, this would be a slot. And if there's a furnace right here, notice how it forms a sledgehammer. So that would be fake. There's also only 1 furnace on top of the stack, so you see 2 furnaces, for instance like this, that would be fake. Or a furnace in this slot as well, that would also be fake. That's basically it for the furnaces. The melons are a little bit easier to manage than the furnaces because there's a lot of interesting parts about it, in my opinion. Basically, the first part is that there's 4 melons on top of the stack. So if you see a melon in this slot, then that would be fake. Right? You also shouldn't see a melon that goes way too high up like this. As for the front of the melon stack, right? Sometimes you'll see 4 melons in a row like this. So that would be fake. Or if you see 2 in a row, 2 in a row like this, that would also be fake. There's also a hole right here that a melon can hide at, so you should know that spot. You see 3 in a row on the side of the stack like this, that's also fake. But if you look at the melon stack from this angle, notice how it's basically 3 diagonal and 4 diagonal. If you see any position where that diagonal is messed up, like this, it's no longer, like the diagonal portion is messed up if there's a melon either one of those spots. That's how you know it's fake. So that's really all it is. For this cauldron stack, basically it's just 2 in a row on top, 4 in a row on the bottom. So 2 and 4. So if you ever see 2 or 3 in a row on the top, or 5 in a row on the bottom like this, that would be fake. Also, if you see a cauldron right here, that would also be fake, or a cauldron that goes way too high up like this. There's also, basically, after the sheep, we have pigs over here. So pigs spawn over here. Next we have some melons. Basically for the melons, if we look at the first portion of it, right, notice how we have the same common structure that we saw a lot in Desert Village. Right, if you ever see it squared off like this, squared off like this, or like this, that's fake. The other feature that we see here is, if you see a melon right here, it forms a 3x3 square, so you should definitely know about that spot. That would be fake. As for the back of the melon stack, right here we basically have a total of 5 melons. So 5 melons that you can walk across, right? So if you see a melon on top of any one of these 5 melons, for instance right here, then that would be fake. Right, and also, you'll sometimes see it go right here. And also we have 2 melons in the back like this, so if you ever see, for instance, 3 in a row in the back like this, or 3 grouped together like this, then that would be fake as well. So that's basically it for these melons, right? Pretty common to find those there. And we've basically talked about all the different hiding spots surrounding the hider spawn house. So this is basically everything. And so that's pretty much it.